which is a very useful moment at which to bring in Paddy Taylor from Autocue. Paddy is Autocue sales manager for news and scripting and video services, and was previously, at the turn of the year, at Avid. His remit is to concentrate on building the successful launch of its video server business and to further extend Autocue's broadcast sector reach beyond its core teleprompting business. And what we've asked Paddy to do is sort of follow on from what you've said about just using Skype. There's a whole load of new technologies, very cost effective, very cheap, that can make local television deliverable for very modest fees, exactly as Jamie was saying, for those sort of budget figures.
Yeah, no, exactly. So I guess hopefully the introduction has given you a bit of an idea of why someone from Autocue is standing in front of you. I suspect most people, when they saw Autocue, thought of teleprompters. The little pieces, mirrors that sit in front of a TV screen, camera, so that when you're reading your journalism piece, you can look as if you're engaging with the end user. Steve contacted me 3 or 4 months ago and asked a very open question, saying, what did I know about 4G? And I gave him a very comprehensive answer. It's an area of interest for me, and I thought nothing of it. And then he sent me an email saying, right, your presentation is going to be on 4G and new transmission technology. So, seeing as Steve gave me this remit, I'd like to open the floor quickly and ask the same question. Who knows what 4G is? Anyone shout out an answer? I'm not going to.
It's even faster internet coverage on mobile phones and mobile internet coverage. It's in America and Europe, but not here because of the regulation. Yeah,
pretty much. I mean, it is exactly that. It's a faster mobile network. It's 4th generation, that's what 4G stands for. And I guess the second question behind why someone from Autocue is standing in front of you talking is, how does this affect local television and local news production? And why specifically is someone from Autocue talking to you about it? How many people here are using 3G as part of their either journalist or news production today? Just a quick show of hands. And is that for producing text-based content? If you could keep your hands up, sorry. Is it for text-based content? Is it for audio-based content? Is it for TV, video-based content? Just sort of take your hands down if it's all 3. Yeah? So that's quite interesting. I guess the reason that I'm here is we have a number of solutions beyond just the basic concept of prompters. Prompters are only a very small part of our business. We have complete studio solutions, we have automation, we have video servers, and critically we have a very well thought of news production system. Quite possibly the most used news production system in the world by physical client users. I have no evidence to back that up, but we have well in excess of 100,000 individual journalists using it on a daily basis. And the basis of that is we have huge stations across the US, India, parts of the developed world that rely on the technology that we have. And the key to that is that we are always trying to deliver more innovative workflows for lower cost. Every production company, every broadcaster, every news outlet is looking for 2 things. They're either looking to be more profitable, or if they're publicly funded, to be more cost effective. And a large part of that is to look at the costs inherent with their business. And this is a prime starting point for any local TV production. To do that, they've either got to reduce costs, or they've got to increase the cost of their content to the end user, i.e. subscription or advertising charges. What we do is we look at the workflows that they have and try and cut out costs by delivering a smoother, better workflow. And a big part of that over the last 18 months has been 3G, WiMAX. Everyone heard of WiMAX? I was going to go into a very complex presentation about WiMAX and 4G and the differences, but I elected at the beginning of this, having listened to everyone's sort of conversation so far, to focus this presentation slightly differently. And then finally, sort of 4G technology. We already have broadcast news outfits that are using 3G on a daily basis for delivering scripts, for delivering news feeds, and ultimately for delivering video. And it's quite interesting hearing about the sort of Winchester experiment with Skype. That's a very common thing. The video phone now is ubiquitous. We look back 5-10 years ago about what was accepted as broadcast quality video. There was no way you could walk up to the BBC with anything less than a beta cam tape and have any chance of getting that on air. But at the same time, the BBC and many other news outlets are now relying on technology like video phones, like Skype, like Windows Media Encoder to deliver their content in the field. And this is where we come in. We are enabling those workflows within the newsroom system. And now it's crucially becoming bi-directional. So you could be a correspondent in a particular location. I take the Royal Wedding as a fairly interesting example. Vodafone, very kindly, at the request of us, another manufacturer of broadcast equipment, and the news networks, erected a completely new mobile phone mast very close to the Middleton South. They were completely unaware of this. I'm sure, had they actually bothered to check the local council notices, they'd have been quite upset at the fact that a 3G mast was temporarily going to be enabled on a hill only about 150 metres from their house. But this changed the field of how the news was going to be delivered from that point relative to the way that these news bureaus have worked in the past. Typically, when you're going out and producing news, you're reliant on microwave or satellite uplink technology to get your content back to either your local news bureau or the broadcast station. Now, as an indicative cost, it is roughly the same cost to broadcast on a Sky Spectrum channel for 1 day as it is to upload 60 seconds of broadcast SD news content through a satellite uplink. So that's the balance points you're looking at. The equivalent is a 3G dongle costing you £25 a month. So the balance point then has to come of how feasible that network is. How many of you have a smartphone, an iPhone, or a Windows device or a Chrome? I would say just over half. So the majority, I suspect, are regularly using 3G technology. And probably, if you're like me and you haven't set your phone up properly, every time you walk past a wireless hotspot, your phone goes, do you want to connect? And if you're as stupid as I am, and you're at some stage connected to a BT Open Zone, it always connects me to a BT Open Zone. And this takes us into the second stage of technology, beyond the concept at the moment of 3G, which has fairly limited geographical coverage, into the future of WiMAX technology. So WiMAX is sometimes described as 3.5G, and essentially it's giving us access to extremely fast networks, but through a standard Wi-Fi style connection. So everyone here may have heard of BT Infinity, seen the adverts with bright lights sort of landing down. The concept of that is fibre to a cabinet and then Ethernet to someone's house. And what the extension of that is the ability for individual end users to access home wireless networks through a commercial relationship with BT. And that is massively opening the door for localised journalists, video journalists, to go out with a video camera, to shoot their piece, to edit it on their laptop in a coffee shop or in the car, to find one of these wireless hotspots if they haven't got access to a 3G network and upload it. And those networks are readily available. You are never more than 2.5 miles away from a broadband connection in this country that is suitable for delivering HD video content. And that's what we come in, that's what we're doing. We're enabling those workflows at the moment for commercial stations, but also for a number of journalist stations. And you mentioned there the fact that 4G was already coming out in the US. And I'd like to just dovetail to a question that you raised earlier about costs. Just a couple of things that perhaps are relevant along this. And I might just sort of skip over the minute, but it is an answer to a question that I didn't want to intercede in earlier. We have two relationships with commercial broadcasters in the US, and these guys are the perfect model of local TV delivery. That's all they do. They are producing citywide local television transmission. 80% of the content is local news and current affairs. 20% of the content is bought-in sitcoms, national sports, larger presentations. They physically don't have the budgets to produce. The KATV in Arkansas, they are linked to the University of Arkansas. They made a decision 2.5 years ago not to refresh their studio when they went HD, but to actually use the university's facilities. And they cut their budget from $4.6 million in 2008 to $3.4 million in 2009. And they now have a relationship where students are actually producing content for them as part of the training initiatives the university set up. Following on from that, Boulder TV are actually 90% delivering their content through sit-up methods. And sit-up methods is just a different way of saying on your computer or on your smartphone. And the key to that is there is an acceptance that some users will not engage with smartphones. My mum has a Nokia 3310 that she's had for 11 years, and it simply has a calculator and the ability to make calls. She's never going to look at content on there. But the ability to use fast networks to get access to that content and target advertising to the key market groups of 18 to 25-year-olds enables the funding, creates the revenue to deliver the content through the more traditional broadcast methods, like the satellite networks, like the cable networks, like the Freeview EPG. So you need to bear that in mind as you look at it, because the faster networks that we're bringing out with 3G and 4G and WiMAX are going to enable a very different landscape, but it's a very cost-effective landscape, both in the delivery methods and the way in which journalists go out and gather their news.